How's it going, everyone? We're back with episode 5 of the podcast. Mac and I are here. We apologize for taking last week off. School comes first, unfortunately. But we're happy to be back this week. We got a full lineup today. Mac, you excited to be back? You ready to go?
Yeah, it's a heck of a lot better than school.
Agreed. All right, so the big news coming out of Toronto this past weekend was the signing of Happ to go along with the trade of Jesse Chavez to the Jays for Liam Hendriks. Mac, break it down for us. What do you think?
Well, the big need is the rotation, and you're bringing in a couple starters. Are they good starters? Not really. But they definitely fill the rotation out. The Jesse Chavez move wasn't really too much of a surprise, I think. Liam Hendriks, he was a good part of our bullpen last year, real good surprise, but I wouldn't say he was like a key piece. He probably wouldn't have had any more of a role than he would this year. So that trade made sense. Give the rotation depth. Chavez can act as a long man if needed.
Yeah, for sure.
So that brings us to Happ.
Oh, jeez.
I don't know what to say about this one. He had a decent end to his season last year. It's 2 months, but I guess it brings some sort of promise. But I think with the Jays, they're in a phase, they're in a cycle, a championship cycle, where everything's looking up and everyone's excited about the new pieces they've added, and now they bring in a guy who might practically fill a need, but at the same time, I think the fan base, including myself, reacts negatively, even though he might fill the need well, but he represents the years in which there were trades made and they didn't work out and the team underachieved, and he was one of those people who year after year underachieved, and he was obviously traded out last year for that reason, and now we just bring him back. I don't see much sense to it. You could just bring a fresh face in, somebody of similar skill set. I think the fan base would have reacted a lot more positively.
So you're kind of willing to look at it a little glass half full per se. I'm going to take a second and just rip on this. This is going to be one of the worst contracts the Toronto Blue Jays sign in team history. So I was telling you before we started filming, I originally read it as 3 years, $26 million, and I still think they overpaid him.
Although when we think about it right now, that is market value.
Okay, true, market value. But, 3 years, $36 million for a guy who, like you said, you had before, who pitched to an ERA of just under 5. It's absolutely ridiculous to think that he's going to be able to emulate the numbers he did in Pittsburgh with that team that he had, along with the fact that it's not the Rogers Center. If you look at how we've constructed this team, we now have 4 fly ball pitchers on our team. Marcus Stroman is really the only one who isn't going to be serving up dingers next year. In my opinion, this is going to be one of the worst contracts in Toronto Blue Jays history. I hate it.
I think it reeks of more to come.
That's fair.
I just think that there's... it pains me to think of us after the year we had last year and the promise we had moving forward, especially with this free agency, that we're going to settle with this. Yeah. I do not think we are going to settle with this. We can't settle with this.
We can't. That's the exact point. We only have maybe even next year to really...
With Batista and Edward gone after next... Well, not necessarily gone, but the threat of probably at least one of them leaving.
Yeah. So if you look at it, so you're telling me we've built up our system for how long? How long has our team been terrible? So since
20 years.
Since 1993. So we finally had success this year, and you're telling me we're going to go out and buy just crap pitchers? Let's be honest. Happ, compared to the market, that is out there right now,
Yeah, and
he is crap.
Jordan Zimmerman goes and gets signed by the Tigers the next day for an average annual value of $22 million a year.
Yeah.
A number that we could have afforded.
Yeah. Yeah.
A number that we could have afforded.
Yeah.
Imagine a Stroman Zimmerman 1-2.
Yeah.
And like
add Dickey to that, who had a nice end to last year, who finally seems to be figuring out the Rogers Center. I mean, he's still not perfect, but I mean, he's not a bad third
you know what
option.
he's you know what you're getting with the guy.
Yeah.
You know what you're getting.
And Marco Estrada coming
Estrada.
back after an awesome second half of last year.
That would be 4 good starters, and you're not. Chavez doesn't have a big contract, so you're not spending big money on him, bringing him in by trade. You're really not adding any more money on the payroll there.
Yeah. No. So, anyways, it'll be. I don't know. I think that the Jays made a mistake. I think Happ's people definitely brilliantly negotiated this contract. They knew the Jays needed a left-handed starter, and they cashed in.
That's probably the only upside to the.
Yeah.
He's a lefty.
Yeah.
It fills a need. Like that's basically what it. But I think going back to the point that we're not gonna settle with this. I think all signs point to R.A. Dickey being traded.
Yeah, you think so?
I think he has market value, and I think that the Jays are kind of just like, as a fan, I'm tired of like Cy Young. He came and hasn't performed to that level ever in his Jays tenure. It's kind of just like how do you say it? But like the last game he pitched in the playoffs was just kind of like symbolic of his tenure.
Yep.
Like the ball was in his court. He could have came up big for us, but his knuckleball wasn't dancing.
That's a story of his tenure in Toronto. The knuckleball wasn't dancing. I mean, like you said, he's had some good starts, but I think if you had to sum it up in one word, his tenure in Toronto: inconsistent
and disappointing.
Disappointing. So those are the two words that kind of sum up R.A. Dickey's career.
And R.A. Dickey, with him, there is the baggage that is called Josh Tolley.
Very true. Very true.
What a disgrace of a major league player is Josh Tolley.
Yeah.
What a waste.
Well, the problem is,
what a waste of a roster spot.
It's not bad. Let's say in September when you have 40 men on the roster.
Yes.
But when
How about the rest of the year?
But yeah, when you've got 25 men on your roster, you do not want
every person on that roster should be valuable.
Well, the problem is Josh Tolley isn't even good enough to be a backup catcher.
No.
I mean, don't get me wrong. Don't get me wrong. He's played some good games for Toronto. He's come up with some timely hits, but he's not the guy. He doesn't get enough reps to be the guy. You know what I mean? And I think if he got those reps, he still would not be the guy.
Yeah, no doubt. He's 30. He's played limited number of games. His only value is he can catch the knuckleball. Russell Martin, I don't know, for whatever reason, he doesn't seem to really be able to catch the knuckleball.
He looks terrified trying to catch the knuckleball.
Deanna Navarro won't even catch the knuckleball. Well, if he's brought back, that is.
Well, I'd be surprised. But, yeah, no, I think...
All signs point to Dickey being gone and hopefully us bringing in someone better. And then with Dickey gone, pray to God that Josh Tolley goes with him. I don't see him, if we don't trade him with Dickey, he'll be sent to, Korea or something.
Yeah, true. So do you think we get rid of Dickey?
Yeah.
And are we looking for starting pitching in return? Or are we looking to fill some other void?
I don't feel like a team is gonna trade starting pitching for starting pitching. Yeah. Especially when we're talking R.A. Dickey on the other end.
True.
Guy's 40, 41, not much left in the tank. Like, a knuckleball, he could still pitch another 3-4 years if he wanted to, but...
Yeah, I mean, I think if you look at it, it would actually be teams like us trying to trade for R.A. Dickey.
Yes.
Teams you want to go for it, but
yes.
I mean, he just hasn't worked out for us.
I think R.A. Dickey could be traded to dump cap space, maybe.
Yeah.
We could pick up maybe like some depth, maybe a couple bullpen pieces, maybe even some prospects. Like you could dump his salary, pick up prospects, and trade those prospects if you wanted to, for the starting pitching you do need, which is like top end 1-2 guy.
Yeah. Anyways, it'll be interesting to see what they do with them.
Still a lot to do.
Yeah.
Still a lot to do.
My last comment on the Happ contract would be, if Happ did not sign his deal, I believe you could have signed Scott Kazmir for the same contract. 3 years, $36 million. I think
more like in the ballpark. Yeah, we're talking somewhere between like 12 to 15 million per year. Yeah, definitely.
And let's be honest, I would much rather have 5 right-handers in my rotation.
Then if we're trading the left-hander J.A. Happ for the right-hander Scott Kazmir,
any day of the week.
Any day of the week. So like, please.
Anyways, I definitely overpaid for him. I don't know. I guess we're really just hoping that we can
there's more to
turn Chavez and Happ into Marco Estrada. I think that's kind of their goal.
Yeah, that's like the best case scenario. Yeah. We're talking the best case scenario for either one of those guys is having some sort of like career renaissance like Marco Estrada and posting like a 3.5 ERA.
I mean, the problem is
that would be best case scenario. Worst case scenario, at least we have depth. We do have depth now.
That's true.
We have, if we think about it, we have Stroman, we have Estrada, we have Dickey, we have Happ, Chavez, Hutchison, and you could throw Aaron Sanchez in there. We have 7 guys that have pitched, that have done starting roles in the majors with some success.
Yeah. Okay, so another question on top of that. So if there's really no need to bring Drew Hutchison into the rotation anymore. We've established that, yes, he could play as that 5th starter, but he doesn't need to. If we wanted to move Chavez to the bullpen, Hutchison could play that 5th role. So what happens if Chavez does earn a spot in the rotation? What does Hutchison do?
It's tough because Hutchison, he has talent. Didn't look like it last year, but I've been to a Jays game where he pitched 8 2/3 shutout against Baltimore, a good offense. I don't know what happened to him. It was probably a lot to do with confidence, but I mean, they'll give him a shot in spring training and we'll see what happens. There's going to be the last 2 spots of that rotation are going to be definitely up for grabs.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, the problem is he has no trade value.
Not after last year. If we would have traded him, say, in the first half of last year, he was our opening day starter.
Yeah, and put up wins. I mean, his ERA was not great, but the dude put up wins.
He kept putting up wins, and like his 5 ERA could be, like, people could look past it for a certain amount of time.
Yeah.
As long as he kept putting up wins. But once it reached like August, September and nothing got better.
Yeah.
You just can't you can't win games with giving up 5 runs a game every game, and like, thank God for him we had like a legendary offense.
Yeah. For me, I think the tipping point was the game against Boston. We went down 8-1 early.
Yeah. Still
managed to come back and win 10-8, I think.
Yeah.
But Hutchison put us in that hole.
Yeah.
Offense had to battle back, and I think that was the point for me where I said, okay, look, Hutchison, he's no longer our top starter. No matter who we have behind, like he's no longer the guy.
Yeah.
It's all been the offense with him. So anyways, I mean, there's not a chance that he gets as much run support as he did last year. So
no, there's no, like, that was probably a record.
Yeah.
I'd assume.
Yeah.
Like, he was averaging like 7 runs a game 4.
Yeah.
That's the only reason he was winning games.
Yeah. Anyways, it'll be interesting to see what they do over the next little while. If we can pull off a big trade. Hopefully we can land someone like Josh Donaldson last year.
Yeah,
I saw that trade was a year ago last week, I think.
We'll see who Jays bring on as general manager.
Yeah.
I mean, I assume Tony Chavez learned a little bit from Double A on how to shake the tree, as you might say, and see what falls, like Josh Donaldson did last year. So we'll see.
Anyways, last note: Jays were linked with Kris Medlen today. Would be a very interesting signing, but that's for another week. I think we'll see what happens with that.
Low risk, high reward.
Very much so. All right, we're gonna move on now to a little NBA action. So, Mac, I'm gonna ask you this question: which has a more likely chance of being true? The Golden State Warriors being the best team in NBA history, or the Philadelphia 76ers being the worst team in NBA history? Go.
God. These could both very likely end up being true.
Yeah, that's all right. Okay, let's give a little bit of background first. So, the worst season in NBA history are the 73 76ers. They went 9-73. The Bobcats actually had a worse win total in 2012, the lockout shortened season, so we're not going to count that. They only had 7 wins but didn't play as many games. So 9 wins is the worst ever season for an 82-game stretch. Mac, do you think the Sixers could pull something like that off? I mean, not pull it off, but you know what I mean. Be that terrible.
Okay. I think we honestly looked for the 76ers to have some sort of improvement this year.
Yeah. I mean,
albeit not a lot.
True.
But a little bit.
Yeah.
And I think they've actually, with their sum of parts, they've played decently well. They've coughed up a lot of games, but chalk that up to the other team having better players.
Yeah.
I think their record is worse than they actually are.
True.
And a couple of their good players, like Tony Roden, had a really good year at point guard last year. He's actually quite a decent player at point guard. They'd be a lot better with him playing, but he's injured.
Yeah.
He'd probably be back sometime later this month. Joel Embiid.
Yeah.
I mean, we haven't seen him in the NBA yet. But
top draft pick.
We assume he'll be good when he plays. I don't know if it'll be this year or not, but I think, what are they? There's still
0-18.
There's still more than 60 games to be played. Yeah. I honestly think that their losing streak might end tomorrow night against the Lakers.
True. Yeah.
Kobe in his last game in his hometown of Philadelphia is going to lose to the 0-18 Philadelphia 76ers.
What a send-off.
That is my prediction.
Man. So you're going with Golden State?
I think the Sixers can scrape to double-digit wins. Yeah. I think they're going to be a team, kind of like the Columbus Blue Jackets in the NHL last year.
Fair enough.
That they won't go on the run like the Blue Jackets did, but I think if we're talking like the last 2 months of the NBA season, we're talking like March and April here. I think the 76ers, getting some players back, their team just generally getting better, I could see them going like around 500 to like a few games below 500 in the last couple months of the season, which is respectable.
Yeah.
I could definitely see that happening. They have some upside.
Yeah, interesting. Yeah, I mean, like you said, the injuries have killed them.
The injuries haven't helped.
I mean, the only problem is Okafor is getting fed up with the team. I mean, if you look at some of his actions.
Oh, God.
I mean, fantastic talent. Great talent.
Absolutely.
Absolute physical specimen.
Absolutely.
But he's just getting fed up with the team. And there's really... I mean, they got to start winning.
I mean, it's not like they can trade him either.
No, not at all.
Like,
So something's got to change in Philadelphia.
I was thinking about how, in the last draft, he could have predicted this.
Yeah.
He could have predicted this happening, and he could have done something. He could have gone off the map, and he could have threatened to not play for the Sixers if he got drafted by the Sixers. Honestly, it's that bad.
Yeah. Well, I mean,
I think he could have if the Sixers had drafted him right away, demand a trade.
Yeah.
Things have literally gotten that bad in Philadelphia.
Yeah. It's kind of a mess. I mean, the only light at the end of the tunnel for them is they do have 4 first-round draft picks next year, which will be in a deep draft. I mean, next year, if freshmen who are supposed to apply for early entrance apply, it's going to be a very, very deep draft, which I think could help them. The only fear is they become the Edmonton Oilers of the NBA.
I think they already have, if not worse.
Fair enough, yes. Kind of on that trend of, yes, we have so many top picks,
they just
don't pan out.
It's not so much that they don't pan out. They can still be very talented players in the NBA, but they just don't develop the team of, the collection of players just doesn't, some organizations just don't seem to know how to develop a group of talented players and create a culture of winning and just find a way to be successful. You see some organizations with, you could argue, less talent succeeding on a more consistent level, a much more consistent level than a team like Philly that might have more of these first round picks. They don't know how to win.
Yeah, I mean, even look at the Knicks. I mean, the Knicks were supposed to be terrible this year. I mean, they're not top of the Eastern Conference.
No,
but they're better than.
They're doing a heck of a lot better. Yeah.
Because they have people who know how to win.
Phil
Jackson, Melo. I mean, never won an NBA title, but still is a dominant player.
Yeah.
And I mean, they are getting results from their young players. I mean, Kristaps Porzingis has played out of his mind. I mean, you talk about physical specimens, talk about Jahlil Okafor. Well, talk about Porzingis. I mean, the dude is an absolute animal, and they're getting production out of him. It's not often you can find a 7'3" guy who doesn't have to play center. I mean, it's pretty unbelievable what they're doing, and the Philadelphia 76ers just haven't been able to do it. I mean, if you look at kind of what they've done this year, they have a lot of big guys, but they just haven't been able to tap into it like the Knicks have. You know what I mean? It's they just keep blowing leads. I mean, the Knicks have kind of been able to process it, grind out wins. The 76ers just haven't been able to do that. So I think that's kind of where they need to progress next. I mean,
teams just need to learn how to win.
Yeah.
Philadelphia 76ers, Edmonton Oilers, Toronto Maple Leafs.
True. Yeah, although we kind of hope they learn to lose this season. Austin Matthews needs to still look good in a Maple Leafs uniform. I'm going to say that till the end of the year. But anyways, on the other side of that, Golden State, could they be the best team in NBA history? I mean, everyone's talking about, and they're comparing the Michael Jordan Bulls to the Chef Steph Warriors. What do you think?
I mean, it's tough to compare any team to a team like Jordan's Bulls in the mid-90s.
Yeah.
But I can't help but say that this looks like the best team ever.
Yeah.
Steph Curry he's looking more and more like a generational talent.
Yeah.
I don't think people really saw him like that before, but now people see him that way, and he's producing at a prolific level. Last year was kind of should he have been MVP? Should Harden have been MVP? Should LeBron have been MVP? But now it's
yeah,
Steph Curry is
the NBA. That, in my opinion, he's turned into the guy.
You can't call him the guy if LeBron's still there.
Mm.
Like LeBron is still in his prime. But Steph is like, he's just gone off on this crazy pace. He is surrounded by the greatest supporting cast anyone could ask for. Though.
Very true. Yeah, but if you look at it, people tune in. I mean, people know what LeBron's gonna do. LeBron's he's gonna make some nice plays, grab some awesome rebounds, maybe make a couple of assists. But you look to see what shots Chef Steph is gonna just jack up that day, and what's gonna fall for him. Whether or not he's gonna throw a backwards three, something ridiculous. But
I mean, you could say, like, they're both very exciting players, but we've seen LeBron perform at an MVP level for 10 years.
Yeah.
And
fair enough, yeah.
Steph Curry has only really come onto the scene. I mean, everyone knew who he was. Everybody knew him as a great three-point shooter for however many years he's been in the NBA and stuff. But, like, last 2 years, he's just come into his own as a MVP-type player. And people, like, are interested to see the new, like a new one of the best players in the NBA, you know? Like, they're excited to see a new style of the way he plays as opposed to LeBron. Like, people have seen LeBron. LeBron is still great. Probably, like, he's just as great a player as Steph Curry, but people are more interested in Steph Curry because he's new, he's fresh, he's, like, a fresh face for the NBA as, like, a poster boy. The Golden State Warriors as a team are, like, a fresh brand of basketball, like very fast pace, but they still play really hard defensively.
Yeah.
You haven't really seen that before.
No, for sure.
And it's doing unbelievably well.
All right, so my next question is for you. Do the Warriors lose a game first, or do the 76ers win a game first? So you said this. You think the 76ers are going to win tomorrow?
I think the 76ers are going to win tomorrow.
Yeah. All right. Fair enough. I mean, so then my question becomes: when does Golden State lose?
It just seems like you look at Golden State's schedule and you see they're playing decent teams, but you're just like you just see the teams they're playing and you look at them and you say. There's no way they can beat Golden State because Golden State just seems unbeatable right now. Like, it just seems there's no way to beat them. LA was up 20 on them, and they still come back and win.
Yeah.
Like, it just seems like no one can win against them.
Yeah, true. I mean, you and I were talking about it, and
Christmas Day
is kind of that chance against LeBron and the Cavs.
I still think the Warriors are gonna win that game. It's in Oakland.
Yeah.
On Christmas Day, I mean, I think when the Warriors lose, it's going to be unexpected, no matter who beats them. But I just think it's going to be. I think if they played San Antonio soon, but they don't, I think that's the only team that can really compete with them. I think Golden State and San Antonio are both better than Cleveland, but I still think Cleveland's going to come out of the East and be in the finals. But I think Golden State and San Antonio are both better than Cleveland at this point.
Yeah, I'd agree.
I think it's going to be some team that we just don't expect.
Yeah, I mean it'll be something like you're coming off a hard-fought win in the first end of a back-to-back.
Yes.
Some team catches you off guard. You've got to go on the road. I mean, they have a 7-game road trip coming up.
Yes.
Before they come back for Christmas.
With a back-to-back or two. Yeah. It could happen.
I mean, it could be a team, like you said, that just kind of comes out of nowhere and just decides, hey, look, tonight we're ending the streak. We got them right where we want them on a back-to-back.
Yeah, even if it's on a back-to-back, they still have like a talented team would still have to play their very, very best basketball.
Very, very best, and
hope that Golden State doesn't play their best.
I mean, it's all going to come down to whether or not.
I mean, the Raptors
Steph can shoot the
when the Raptors were in Golden State, they caught Golden State on like not a great night.
Yeah.
and the Raptors were playing unbelievably well.
Yeah.
The Raptors lost the game.
Yeah. It's going to take something.
It's going to take something
miraculous.
special. Yeah.
But anyways, so I mean, Christmas Day, definitely a game to watch out for.
Oh yeah.
And then you never know, there could be a surprise on this 7-game road trip leading up to that. I mean, then going back to the 76ers, when do they lose? You know what, I think Kobe can get the job done tomorrow. I think if my opinion, but I think he can get it done.
Oh, okay. Kobe will be motivated.
Yes, motivated. That's why.
But his team is absolute garbage, and the guy is playing like garbage.
Yeah.
I mean, the injuries have obviously taken its toll, and he's not the same player. Like he'll go down as like one of the greatest players of all time, but right now, like realistically, he's not.
Yeah.
He's shooting 30% from the field. He's still jacking up shots like he's in his prime, but he's not. He needs to share the ball, but he doesn't, and he shoots like 20 shots, and he's making 30% of them. That's not good for the team.
No, that's not good math. But anyways, I think they'll get it done. Then you can look at, they got a couple games against the Knicks coming up, but I don't actually think they match up that well against the Knicks, to be honest. I mean, if you look, the one thing the 76ers have going for them is their size. I mean, they've got some pretty huge dudes. But the problem is, so do the Knicks. Mm-hmm. And the Knicks play better ball with that size. Mm-hmm. I mean, go back to Porzingis. I mean, the dude is 7'3". You can't guard him. Add that to Carmelo, and I think they're going to be in for a rough couple of games against the Knicks, to be honest. So I think tomorrow is actually their chance to end the streak, or it could go into the new year. Let's be honest, the streak could actually go into the new year.
Philly is lucky that they're in the East, and they're lucky that they're in the division they're in because, like, realistically, the Nets are terrible as well.
Yeah.
The Brooklyn Nets are also terrible. Yeah. Whenever Philly matches up against them, that's a realistic win for any team, no matter how bad you are.
That'll be the toilet bowl of this year's NBA.
The Knicks can be beat. Like, they're inconsistent. They can be beat on a bad, like, if they're having a bad night, they could definitely be beat for sure. Boston
grinds.
They grind.
Yeah.
They grind.
But
they're not the most talented team in the world, but again, they could probably be beat as well by Philly. But Philly would have to have a really good... But there's teams out there that can be beat in the East. That's what I'm saying for Philly.
Yeah.
Like, it's not like all hope is lost. They can beat a good fair few of the teams.
Yeah.
They just have to go out and do it.
Yeah. No, definitely some things to watch out for. It'll be interesting to see which streak ends first. Tomorrow will be not an interesting game to watch. I don't think you're going to see a very high level of basketball between the 76ers and the Lakers, but it'll be fun nonetheless.
Be a high quality D-League match.
Anyways, that's it for us on week 5. Hope you enjoyed the podcast. We'll be back next week with a lot more. Hopefully some good things go on this week in the sports world. Like you said, look for some basketball, college football, championship weekend. This week I'm super excited. The Crimson Tide take on the Florida Gators, so that'll be awesome. Again, hope you enjoyed the show. If you have any feedback, comment down below. We'd love to hear from you. And see you next week.